The thing about this space that I love and have loved for years is you guys inspire the buyer in a different way, right? So I'll come in here for one thing. I come in and buy as many candles as I can, for back stock. A girl can't be without her candles, especially during the pandemic when you're trying to create a vibe at home. But I always leave with something else. There's always this sort of inspirational piece. And to your point, experiencing this store encourages you to grab a piece for yourself and to share it with others, and then to come and tell its story to your good girlfriend. So tell me a little bit about how you all cultivate this kind of vibe. How do you create a space like this? And just a bit about your entrepreneurial journey here in Harlem.
Oh, it's been a long journey. We actually started our first business in Harlem in 2000. It was a floral shop called Katrina Paris Flowers. We had that for 15 years. We sold that, and then 2015, NiLu was born, which came from the names of my two boys, Nigel and Luke. It's funny because when we opened up NiLu, when we first told them, we were going to do it, they were like, what, huh? Their thing, they've gotten so good with the entrepreneur. They're like, well, how much of the business is ours then? I was just like, by name only. Right. You'll have to buy me out. We'll talk about it. So at NiLu, I wanted to offer something that went beyond the flowers. I knew the neighborhood. We live here. It's us. We're vested. So I knew what was lacking and what was missing. Over time, I started to notice that there were more makers in the neighborhood, but there wasn't necessarily platforms in which these makers to sell their wares. Pop-ups had just started to really kind of happen, and everyone.
Which year?
This was 2015.
Okay, yeah.
So pop-ups had, Brooklyn had been doing it, but there really wasn't too much of it by way of Harlem, for sure. Upper West Side had them, their annual, bazaars and things like that. So one of the things I thought was that, it would be great to, to extend community and offer a platform for makers. So that's where it started from. Started to look out for makers in the community by going to one of the few pop-ups that were happening, and then just, online and word of mouth. So I filled up the store with a couple of makers that I'd like to introduce you to. But from that, once we got a couple of those makers in the store, people started coming in. The makers found us, really,
I love that.
So they were coming like, heard about you, And I was just like, how do we get in the store? Right. That was like something I had not anticipated. And then, of course, I go to the industry shows. But within the industry shows, what I really scrub is the made in America, the handmade products, and the global products. Because NiLu is not only, compiled of makers from Harlem, but at this point we've gone beyond Harlem and we've gone global. And so with our global products, they're always fair trade, and they're always geared towards supporting women artisans. So for us, community is not just Harlem, but it's the community at large. It's community of color, because that's one of the criteria as well that we look for. And also in the gift giving, the particular items that we choose, Danielle, everything is very intentional, with a nod or a gesture to Black Americana, to the things that we know exist by people that we know who are out there, but you never see. So the coffee table books, we're going to talk about Black art. We're going to talk about iconic Black jazz. We're going to talk about, the things that our culture are about, the best of who we are. When you go to the greeting card section, you're going to see cards that look like us, that have brown faces, but at the same token, this doesn't mean that NiLu is just for people of color. And our client base has proved that. People walk in and don't feel like, they don't belong. I want, people to feel this is an education for everybody.